A landlord in Texas had her property destroyed after she issued an eviction notice to her tenant. But her tenant was her grandson. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. All right, so I have quite the interesting story for you today, and it's coming out of Texas. And unfortunately, it's one of those stories where you have this nightmare tenant who completely destroys the landlord's property after they get their eviction notice, okay? This is one of those cases where, oh, wow, it's absolutely awful. You know, the pictures they have in this article, they kind of show that this tenant just tore this place apart. Now, that is why I'm always about, good tenant screening, making sure that you put the best tenant in there possible. But in this case, right, we have a landlord who broke one of my cardinal rules, right? Never rent to friends and family, okay? And friends and family are some of the worst people when it comes to screwing you over, okay? And you think that they're going to be a good tenant in a lot of these cases, but they try to take advantage of your goodwill by saying, oh, well, maybe I can pay you less rent, or maybe I'll pay later, maybe I just won't pay you at all. And, when you put a family member or a friend in a landlord-tenant relationship, right, it's going to cause problems. It's going to cause more stress, and in a lot of cases, it's going to ruin your relationship. That's why I say just don't do it. It's not worth it in the long run. So before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the like and subscribe button. Maybe leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Okay, would you rent to a tenant who is a family member or a friend? Okay, I've asked this question before in a poll, and I might throw another poll up there asking the same question again because it's really interesting, especially when you think about there are people who have been able to do it successfully, right? But I know, personally, I've heard of so many situations where it just doesn't work out, and it ends up being, well, this family member is basically paying all the bills for this other family member or friend even, and the other person's paying nothing and just taking advantage. And I don't want to see that happen to other people. Okay, so let's get into the article. This article is coming from ketk.com, and it says, Nightmare tenant, Abilene landlord left with thousands of dollars in damages after issuing eviction. Now, this article has a video with it, and I'll play part of that video right now.
When tenants are renting a home, landlords often expect slight property damage called wear and tear that happens after being lived in for a while. But this is not what any landlord would expect to find.
And called me and she goes, we're here with the house, and he destroyed it.
Blanca Cortez is an Abilene landlord who is currently living in Odessa. She let her grandson rent her home, but for 2 years he never paid her rent.
Had him evicted. We gave him numerous chances to pay.
Her leasing agent and the constable went to see if he was off the property, and this is what they walked into.
Okay, you saw the video. Wow, I mean, this is a crazy story, and it looks like they have a few pictures of the damage that the tenant did to this property, and I'll throw those up on the screen just so you can get a good idea of just how badly this place was torn up. I mean, how could you do this to your own grandmother, okay? This is ridiculous. But anyway, let's get into the article. More evictions are now being seen across Taylor County in a post-COVID-19 pandemic world. One Abilene landlord was left with thousands of dollars worth of damage after an angry tenant destroyed her home. When tenants rent a home, property managers often expect slight property damage known as wear and tear, which happens after being lived in for a while. However, landlords typically never expect their homes to be completely destroyed by a tenant. Blanca Cortez is an Abilene landlord who lives in Odessa. She was letting her grandson rent her home from her and said he hadn't paid his rent to Cortez in 2 years. I know for a fact that if it was anyone else, she probably would have been all over it. But she's sitting there thinking, oh, I can't evict my grandson. He won't have anywhere to live. He'll be out on the streets. See, this is the problem. When you get that personal attachment with one of your tenants, you're not willing to do the things that are necessary in order to make your business profitable, okay? And this lady, I don't know. She's probably a small landlord. This might be her only rental, but she's paying all of those bills out of pocket. She's basically subsidizing subsidizing her lazy, good-for-nothing grandson's life, okay? And this is how he rewards her. You know, the best thing he could have done would have just been to, hey, I'm going to leave, and you can have your property back and rent it out to somebody else, and we're just done, Grandma, I'm sorry. But no, he's like pissed at her. Like, what did she do to you? She let you live there for free for 2 years? So you're so mad at her that you tear her own place up? You know, like I said, people, you know, so many people are just garbage. You know, they treat their family like crap, and they wonder why, you know, family reunions are so stressful. Okay. Oh, man. Anyway, let's continue. Finally, Blanca said she had to evict him. Then she said she heard rumors that he was going to do something to her house. A Taylor County constable and her leasing agent went to the home to see if he had left yet. She, the leasing agent, calls me and goes, "We're here with the house, and he destroyed it," Cortez recalled. In the once charming home, tiles were torn up, cabinets torn down, and even the kitchen backsplash was ripped from the walls. It was the bathroom that had the most damage, though, complete with a missing sink and toilet. Wow, he took the toilet and the sink out. I mean, what do you do, okay? So, obviously, you know, I would sue him, okay? If nothing else, you got to get repairs. I mean, he's not getting a security deposit back. I know, that's a joke, okay? He probably didn't have a good security deposit, or if he did, she probably took it a long time ago when he wasn't paying the rent, okay? So this is even worse. This is thousands of dollars of damage, and all of this could have been avoided if she had just said, "No, I'm not going to rent to a family member," okay? A difficult decision to make. Cortez is pressing charges against her grandson. Smart lady, smart lady. "I feel that I'm all in my right to do what I'm doing," explained Cortez, because he didn't have to get that extreme. A part of Taylor County Constable Dwight Kinney's job is serving eviction papers. He told KTAB-KRBC, "It's rather rare for tenants to completely destroy a home like this, but it does happen. We get them every once in a while," Constable Kinney said. We've even had some where, mysteriously, a fire was started in it." You know, I've gone through an eviction, and my tenants, they didn't trash the place like this on purpose, right? They were just trashy people who tore the place up while they were living there and didn't want to fix anything. And then I ended up spending thousands of dollars worth of damage, or fixing thousands of dollars worth of damage. So, you know, this is a little bit different. This is intentional property damage, you know. So I'm sure that she filed a police report. You know, the police are going after him for, you know, criminal mischief or property damage or some charge similar to that. And seeing as it's thousands of dollars, you know, she needs to sue him as well so that she can get some sort of restitution for all the damages. And like I said, the relationships in this family they're done at this point, okay? I don't know if they can be repaired. And that's the worst part of all, okay? When you have destroyed the relationship with your grandmother so badly that now the two of you can't even sit in a room together because of the bitterness and the dislike of each other. I'm not going to say hatred, but, you know, you could tell that they just won't be able to get along. You know, there's not going to be a Christmas dinner where you guys are sitting together and eating, okay? Because it's just going to turn into a yelling match. And, you know, I personally, that's, you know, I think it is a better thing, even if your family member is struggling and can't find somewhere to live and you're a landlord and you have rentals, it's better for them to go out and have to deal with the real world, okay? You helping them ended up hurting you, and it didn't help them at all. And, you know, I know I'm preaching here, but this is my personal belief. This is why I don't give money to family. Or why I don't give money to friends. This is why I don't rent to family and friends either, because it puts a huge strain on your relationship. And I don't think it's repairable at this point. Even though they aren't always this bad, Constable Kinney explained that he's seen more evictions lately. He said it's his hunch that these evictions are being doled out because people are having a hard time paying rent after the COVID-19 pandemic. During COVID, the state said you couldn't evict people, the constable said. He also added in that current inflation rates have made it more difficult for people to pay their bills now. This year, Taylor County has already reached more than 1,300 evictions, less than 300 away from surpassing last year's. Constable Kenny said the county is now dealing with, on average, 2 or 3 evictions per day, meaning Taylor County will probably pass last year's number of evictions very soon. Constable Kenny detailed a matter of tension between landlords not being able to allow tenants to live rent-free and tenants not being able to pay. And yeah, that's an issue, okay? If the tenant can't pay, they just got to go. Okay, we aren't responsible for the social problems of the world. We're business owners like everyone else. You don't go to McDonald's and expect to get free meals just because you're not able to buy food and you're poor. Okay, and I'm not expected to pay for your housing because you're poor. I've explained this many times. That's why I was so against the whole pandemic eviction moratorium in the first place. Right? You got people who were not paying rent for so long that they begin to think of it as an entitlement, and they begin to see it as, oh, it's us versus them, it's the landlord versus them, and it should never have been made to look that way. Okay, so horrible story. I hate reading about, especially because these are family members, I hate reading about this sort of situation where these two people who are related, they just won't be able to get along, and their relationship is completely destroyed.